Tim Ryan has taken a very extreme position on fracking and in the energy industry, and that greatly, greatly hurts Ohio, the state that he claims that he wants to represent in the United States Senate, and JD was not having a minute of that.
Tim Ryan just told a big fib. He said he supported Ohio's natural gas industry, and he's always done so. And yet Tim Ryan, when he ran for president, was it 2 years ago, you supported banning fracking, both on public lands and generally speaking. That crushes the Ohio energy sector, and that's one of the reasons why manufacturers are going to China.
So think about this from the perspective of an Ohio working class neighborhood, right? This is a bunch of families who are trying to make ends meet, a bunch of families who are maybe working paycheck to paycheck to pay their bills. Their energy bills go up as a result of Tim Ryan's quote unquote green energy policies, his anti-fracking policies. This really hurts Ohioans, especially when their jobs, when what JD said is not just bad because of the geopolitical battle between the United States and China, that we don't want China to be stronger than us. This hurts us at the kitchen table as well. Because when working class people lose their jobs in these neighborhoods in Ohio, how are they supposed to pay the bills? This is what I meant when I said before that JD is meeting voters where their pre-existing needs are. He's not pretending to come in and say, let me teach you about why you should care about X, Y, Z. He's saying, what do you care about? What is something that stresses you out in your life? What do you need to support your family? And he's showing them how his policies, conservative policies at the federal level, can protect the lives of the people of Ohio. And one of the tragic things about Ohio is my state, the state that I love, has suffered from the opioid crisis and the fentanyl crisis in an extraordinary way in the past few years, in a tragic way. Unfortunately, the number of opioid deaths and fentanyl deaths in Ohio is one of the highest in the entire nation. This should be the priority for congressional members of Congress at the state level in Ohio, but at the federal level too, because it is a matter of taking on big pharma. It is a matter of taking on the Mexican drug cartels. This is the source of where these deadly drugs come from. And JD Vance, I mean, you guys probably read his book, Hillbilly Elegy, right? This was his life growing up. His life was just wrecked by the drug crisis in Ohio. And this is what he had to say about it and Tim Ryan's impact on it now.
Yes, the fentanyl crisis is way worse than it was 2 years ago. Why is it way worse? Because Tim Ryan and Joe Biden have conspired together to reject every border wall funding proposal, to reject every proposal to cut off the amnesty, to reject every proposal that would actually secure our border and stop the flow of these illegal drugs.
Thanks, Mr. Vince.
Okay, and then this is actually one of my favorite lines. I'm sure this was a pre-prepared line. I'm totally in favor of politicians pre-preparing lines for debates because it's not false, it's not fake. It's just a way to distill what you want to say about your opponent into the most effective verbiage, the most effective language possible. And JD Vance, I thought, encapsulated what a fraud Tim Ryan is, what this shallow swamp creature he is, so well when he actually challenged him on a bit of policy, and Tim Ryan had no answer about the policy. And JD's like, yeah, I backed you into that corner on purpose because I know you don't know about policy. Take a listen to this.
I want to point out something that Tim Ryan just did. One, I answered the question about same-sex marriage, and I identified very specifically a couple of problems with the legislation. Tim didn't address that. He just pretended that it didn't exist. Because here's the problem with Tim Ryan. He spent 20 years in Washington, D.C. He actually doesn't care about the details of public policy, and I'm sure he didn't even read the bill that he voted on. What he does is he reads the canned lines that his consultants give him. You could respond to the argument that I made, Tim. Instead, you decided to pretend, again, that I have views I don't actually hold, so you can't. Look, it's insulting. Voters deserve somebody who actually respects their views and speaks honestly to them about the issues. That's not what Tim's doing tonight.
I think that's the best thing, to call out Tim Ryan for not knowing the policy, not knowing what's in the bill he voted for. And this is, I mean, it's an open secret, right? That politicians that are swamp creatures really do just repeat talking points. They pretend they're the experts. They pretend they're doing the work, but they're not. They're the figurehead for the underbelly of the swamp, which is political consultants and lobbyists. And that's what Tim Ryan does. And man, JD just smoked him for that.